Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Damodarastakam ki jai.
Jai.
Wonderful Kirtan. Thank you, Kanchan Mataji and Mukunda Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhu, Dharpranam, Vice Prabhupada.
How are you doing, Prabhu?
I'm okay, Prabhu, by Krishna's mercy.
Good.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam, Salvas to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dharpranam, Vice Prabhupada. So Mukta Sangha Prabhu's back from New Jersey. That's good.
No, actually, I didn't go. I couldn't go. So
Oh.
I was held up in something else.
Oh.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dharpranam, Vice Prabhupada. Jai. So, anyway, so I was also actually wasn't sure if I was going to join or not. Just actually work also got very late today. So anyway, it just about finished, and so I thought we can join for some time at least.
Good to see you.
Right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Prabhu. It's been a few weeks actually, so
yeah.
Maybe we'll just do something quickly.
Yes.
And 1 second, I just want to.
We are in chapter 5, right? Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, yeah. Chapter 5, we had done up to 15. 5:15 we had done last time. So maybe we can read
from 16.
From 16.
Any volunteers?
Yeah, we did that 13, 14, 15 last time.
Yes.
So we'll continue with the new session. We may not have time for recap.
Yeah. Because and actually we got just a few people today, so we'll just probably go through it.
Yeah, but the lesson we learned, that was very, very good. I have some notes. So we discussed about, in the text 13 we discussed about the 9 gates. Those 9 gates are 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 ears, mouth, anus, and genital. So these are the 9 gates, and these are the city of the 9 gates. So city, we are the living entity resides in this body, and the body is the city, is having the 9 gates. So like me and Mukta Sangha Prabhu, we live in Philadelphia, and it does not mean that I am Philadelphia, right? So because we live in Philadelphia, so we live means that soul resides in that city. So if I think like I am a city, so that is the false perception. So that Prabhu emphasizes that we should not consider as we are the body. So in this body, we live as the soul. So that's the 9 gate concept here. And if I say I live in Philadelphia, that means I am the individual live in the Philadelphia. I'm not a Philadelphia city. That means I'm not a body. I'm the spirit soul. Similarly, I live in this body, and this body is the city of the 9 gates. And then we talked, Prabhu emphasized on the 6 stages of the body. So what are the 6 stages of the body we have? So body, first it gets birth, then it grows, then it stay for some time at certain stage, and then it produce reproduction systems, means children's and all, and then it dwindles, and then finally it goes for the death. So that's there. And then this we utilize three modes of material nature, which is created by Krishna. So that is Tamagun, Rajagun, and Satagun. So Tamagun, when we sleep, that is also the that is also in the Krishna service. How when we sleep, it is in the Krishna service. So Prabhu says like that, when we sleep, so that after the sleep, we regenerate for the Krishna service. So if we do not sleep, we cannot do proper service for the Krishna. So Tamagun can be also utilized in the Krishna service. So how these three modes of material natures can be, how these three modes can be utilized in the Krishna service. So for example, sleep can be also utilized for the Krishna service. When we get the sleep, our body gets regenerated, and by that we will be feeling fresh, and we can do proper service for the Krishna. So that's the anger. Like we always give the example of Hanuman. So in that anger also he served the Lord Ramchandra. And similarly, when in Kurukshetra, Arjuna and Bhima, they also got anger. Then only they were able to kill the opponents, right? And Satagun, that is the always whatever the deity worship and all we do, that that is in the Krishna service. So this way Tamagun, Rajagun, and Satagun can be utilized in the Krishna service. Then we talked about body as per the influence of the modes, like TV watching analogy. So when we watch the TV, that Prabhu give that analogy, so that we discuss. We involve in the TV, and we think like we are acting as the serials going through. I mean, to say, sometimes we cry, sometimes we feel like happiness, this, that, and everything. So that also represents the three modes. Depending upon the things going in the TV, accordingly we start behaving. So that things, modes of material nature, and yeah. So pretty much we covered this much. So I like that last class. It was really, really wonderful. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for teaching us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So
Thank you, Ramsham Prabhu.
So Prabhupada's purports. So all right, Prabhuji. So let's move ahead with the reading for the. Maybe we'll do 2 verses today, quickly.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So
Any
verse
on the call?
16, 17.
Prajna is here, Prabhuji.
Rajana Mataji, please go ahead.
Number 16, right, Prabhuji?
Text 16.
Yes, ma'am.
Prajna 16. Here, I have it ready.
Gnanena tu tad agnanam
Jnanena tu adjnanam
yesham nasitam atmana
yasam nasita atmana
teshamaditya vagnana
aditya vajnanam
prakshayati tatparam.
prakasyati tatparam.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Rajana Mataji. Anybody else? Tad buddhayas tadatmanas
Buddhayas tadatmanas
Atmanam
tannistas tatparayanaha
tannishtas tatparayana
tatparayana
gachanti apunarnavritam
gachanti apunar avritam
gnana niruddhata kalmashaha
Jnana
Kalmasa.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Hare Krishna.
Text 18.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, we'll do only two, you said. Right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinaya Sampanna
Brahmade Gavihastani
Brahmane
Aneka
Gavihastini
vihastini
Tunichaiva Swapakecha
Nicheva
Janikaiva
Sapati
Pakecha
Pandita Samadarshinaha.
Pandita
Pandita
Samadarshinaha.
And the translation by His Divine Grace of Acharya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmanas, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. Hare Krishna.
Hari Om.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful sloka.
Okay. So should we proceed?
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Agyantirandasya Gyanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmentam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadhutam Parigana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So text 16 Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha yesham adityam ajnanam prakashayati tad param. So Krishna says, when however one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nations is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So this is in continuation of the concept that had been covered last time, which is basically that the actions are carried out by the modes of material nature. The individual soul is basically pure, but due to his desire to perform a certain action, the Supreme Lord sanctions it, may or may not sanction it, but when the Supreme Lord sanctions it, when the Paramatma sanctions a particular action, then the modes carry out that particular action. So even though the action is being carried out by the modes and under the authorization given by the Supreme Lord, by the Paramatma, the individual soul is still responsible because it is the individual soul's desire that caused the action to be performed. And that is why the individual soul either enjoys or suffers the reactions, because it is he who is responsible. So with that background, then Krishna says here in this verse 16 that however However meaning, why he's saying however here is because now he's going to contrast the living entity's desire that creates action and reaction with something else. And that something else is, however, one is enlightened. When one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nations are destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So Krishna is emphasizing knowledge. But what is that knowledge? The next verse tells us the answer to that. What is that knowledge? Knowledge is when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme. Then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So, description of knowledge here is when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme. Then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So we have discussed this in the past as well, but here an interesting point is being raised about intelligence or about knowledge. And here the definition of knowledge being given is that the intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge, all four things are fixed in the Supreme. Then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings. Misgivings means all are anarthas. Artha means what is useful. Anartha means what is not useful, meaning it is useless. So anartha means something useless. Generally, we consider material desires, etc., as anarthas. Now, the root of this word, even though anartha applies to material desires, but the root understanding is that something which is useless is anartha. And material desires are useless. Useless because they do not take us to the path of liberation. And so here Krishna is saying when one is cleansed of misgivings, meaning when you're cleansed of anarthas, over here the word used is kalmashaha. Kalmashaha for misgivings. When one is cleansed of those misgivings through complete knowledge, then one can proceed on the path of liberation. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death is only possible, Krishna is saying, when one stops having any useless desires, material desires for material enjoyment. Now, in order to get to that stage, Krishna says that one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme. Now, this is particularly so. Intelligence, yes. Intelligence, we can understand if intelligence is fixed on Krishna, if the mind is fixed on Krishna, if we have faith in Krishna, okay, and refuge in Krishna. Why is he talking about refuge being fixed in Krishna?
Taking shelter?
Taking shelter at all times of Krishna, understanding that our real shelter is actually only Krishna. Because when that mentality develops in us, naturally, when you have faith in Krishna, when your mind is fixed on Krishna, when your intelligence is clean, meaning the effects of the modes of nature, which were described in the previous verses, when we have strong enough intelligence to understand and identify, then only our mind will be fixed on Krishna. So it's not as if the modes stop acting on us when we take to the path of devotion service. The modes are always there. They will continue to act. But what the previous verses were emphasizing is that even though the modes are acting, if we have proper understanding of what is going on, then we can counteract it. Then we can train our mind, our intelligence to be strong enough to identify what the modes are doing to us and resist them. Otherwise, we won't be able to resist it. So the mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge, all fixed in Supreme Lord. Then one proceeds on the path of liberation. And then in text 18, Vidyavanaya Sampanne, Brahmani Gaviyastini, very important and instructive verse. It is said that when that happens, then the person clearly understands that he or she is a living entity. Everybody is the real living entity is the spirit soul. The quality of the soul, regardless of what kind of body it is situated in, is exactly the same. It is spiritual. So whether it's a soul in a human being of different social class, like a Brahmin or dog eater Chandal, or if it is a soul in a different species of body, animal or whatever, since the sage or the wise man understands that this is completely, each of those souls are exactly the same. They've come from the same place, they need to go back to the same place. However, due to the influence of the modes of nature and not being able to overcome the modes of nature, somebody is in a dog body, somebody is in a cat body, somebody is in a human body, so on and so on. So this re-emphasizes the idea that it is very important for us to understand who we are. What is the purpose of life? Purpose of life is to go back to Godhead. Who we are individual souls. Why are we trapped in this body? Because of the influence of the modes of nature. What do the modes of nature do to us? They cause us to act in ways that bind us more and more and more. And how can we resist that? By understanding what is going on, by identifying the influences of the modes and keeping our mind fixed on Krishna, because the modes divert us away from him. But if we keep our mind fixed on serving Krishna, then the influences of the modes can be resisted. So any points that anybody would like to add to these three that we've discussed so far?
That actually Vidya, are we talking about the Gnanis or Bhaktas? Because Gnanis and Bhaktas, they both have Vidya actually, but
Right.
different level.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. That's interesting point, Prabhu. So now this section though of the Bhagavad Gita is the karma section, right? So, and the middle section is the bhakti section, end section is the gyan section. But this refers to the knowledge even of a jnani. You see, Prabhupada emphasizes that gyan and karma both are necessary, both will eventually lead to bhakti. Gyan and karma will both lead to bhakti. So even the bhakta has gyan, but if the jnani doesn't have bhakti, then it will just result in dry speculation. And the bhakta also has gyan. The bhakta also performs karma. But there's a difference in the quality. Whereas a person who is not a bhakta and just simply performing karma, well, we know that they will simply be entangled in the action and reaction part of it. So the knowledge of a jnani and the knowledge of a bhakta may be the same regarding, so like in this verse, let's say even the jnani recognizes that the soul is present in the animal and human being and so on and so forth. But if the jnani doesn't perform bhakti as a result of that, doesn't recognize that that the ultimate goal is to serve Krishna, then it will just end in speculation. That knowledge will just be dry. It will not lead to bhakti. But if a bhakta has this knowledge, he is using this knowledge to serve Krishna or to further his attachment to Krishna.
here it is basically both of the context.
I'm sorry?
Here it is, both of them are in the context, right?
Both of them in context, yes.
Jnanis and Bhaktas.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other questions? Anyone? Ramsham Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu, I was trying to understand about the anartha, like avidya, like Prabhu explained about the vidya, so avidya, anartha. So like that is given in the very detail in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So how avidya will go off, and so that one can see all like dog eater and everyone in the same vision. So it's the only gradual process by doing the devotional services, engaging the senses, or so generally we understand the same thing, like like by engaging our senses in the Krishna service,
Right.
and so how to, yeah, so do you want to comment on that, so that
Yeah, sure, bro. Good question. So in other words, you're saying that how can we reach that stage where we view equally that the soul resides in the body of a Brahmin, cow, dog eater, etc. So that is the stage that has been described in this verse as Pandita or wise man. And the characteristic of a wise man also described in this verse as Vidya and Vinaya Sampanni. So the Pandit who has this view, the Samadarshana view, is equipped with knowledge, Vidya, and Vinaya, that is gentleness. These two are now what knowledge? Knowledge of everything that we've studied so far, meaning we are not the body, we are the spirit soul. So if we are not the body, we are spirit soul, then that is true even for all other living entities, whether for a dog, cow, cat, whatever. So that is the knowledge that a devotee or a wise man acquires or is convinced of that knowledge. He is convinced of that knowledge. When the person is convinced of that knowledge, it leads to Vinaya, which is gentleness. Meaning then that person, when he understands that there is a soul in every body and the soul has got a different body only based on their karma. It is not as if a dog, a cat or a cow or a goat doesn't have a soul. So when they understand that, they will not harm them. The gentleness means that they will not harm them. So that is where this whole principle of no animal killing, no meat eating, that is where it comes in. Because the person is gentle. The person realizes I should not harm them because, or not harm other living entities, because they also have a soul just like ours. And it is their karma which is manifesting in this body. So if the person kills another living entity and eats their body, then he's eating that person's karma is basically coming on the person, isn't it? So these are the characteristics of the wise man, Pandita. So when this conviction comes in a person's mind, then he becomes Samadarshina, or equal in vision to all these different living entities.
Yeah, bro. So we, sometimes when we try to understand, we understand fully this concept. We understand fully, but when we go for the practical approach, like when we see the snake, we take the stick and we kill them. So, or there is the scorpion. Prabhupada also gives that example, I think, of Scorpio thing. One sage watch found.
Because
Like,
Prabhupada said that this is an envious birth, so it is okay to relieve them. Because snake and all, Prabhupada said that's okay to kill them. It's a
yeah,
very envious birth.
yeah, yeah. For us, suppose we are under. I'm understanding. I'm not a body. I'm a spirit soul. So, what all is that the different people approach means suggest different things, different, like go for the Navada Bhakti, do for the Cheto Darpana Marjanam, do that Sikhastam things, do the devotional service, do that 9 stages of services, Adu Sraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all are lead to that understand and realize, and then or gradual process, or is it by sukriti? And sometime like we get into confusion, like how things works. And Prabhupada said in the Bhagavad Gita, like karmas are so intricacy or intricated that we cannot never understand that how it works. So how and when we will reach that at the level of Pandita Samdarsina, or only by in the shelter of the Guru, only by Bapu Seva or Bani Seva, or what? So many things are there. So which path to follow? Knowledge. We are talking about here knowledge. We have studied previous chapter transcendental knowledge. So many things are there. So only means which one, just we follow Guru, what Guru is saying, that sometimes we say Guru Sastra Sadhu. Then also there is the confusion, means what to follow, how to follow, how we can, or we can reach at this lifetime there or not, or we have to again like uh, so if you can probably comment on that. So
I mean, the process of bhakti is basically the answer to all of this. And these are all different aspects of bhakti, everything that you described, getting guidance from Guru, Sadhu, and Shast, engaging in the practices of devotional service. All of these are stepping stones that take us to this stage. Now, whether we will get there in this lifetime or not, that is in Krishna's hands. We don't know. But we definitely know that this is the right thing to do. And the Lord says, he says, Sarvadhaman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. So he's saying that if you take shelter of me, I will Amtam Sarvapatibhyo Mokshisham. So when the Lord promises, he is not bluffing us. It's the truth.
yeah.
So it is just a matter of us sincerely kind of following the practices to the best of our ability. We may not be perfect, but we are following the process which is perfect. And the Lord, through the mercy, through his own causeless mercy, basically at the end of the day, it's his causeless mercy. So, since it's the month of Damodar, it is this lesson is very, very, we are reminded of this lesson every day, because when we sing Damodar Ashtakam prayers, the whole idea was Mother Yashoda was able to bind Krishna. The rope 2 fingers short because 1 finger was the effort, the second finger is the Lord's mercy. So we have to put in our effort, and when the Lord's mercy is always there. He is waiting to give us his mercy. We just have to keep putting in the effort, and he will reciprocate, and he will bring us back to the spiritual world. He wants us to do that.
Yeah.
He wants to bring us back. So if we are trying, why will he not help us? You see, the whole idea, like the one thing that I kind of think about is that Mother Yashoda tried so hard to catch Krishna.
Right.
She was perspiring, her flowers falling from her hair. She even stepped out of the house, the boundaries of the house, they call it chaukhut or whatever. And she wouldn't do that ordinarily. But just to catch Krishna, this time she said, I am going to catch you. And so she put in a lot of effort. But who can catch Krishna? Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah.
So, but it is only when the Lord is pleased with our effort and he decides, okay, I will let you catch me. Then she was able to bind him. So same thing is true for us. Whether we will never be able to become perfect by our own efforts to go back to God. There'll always be something there's some imperfection in us. But it's the Lord's causeless mercy. That's why it's called as causeless mercy. There's no reason. He wants us to come back. All he says is that at least you develop that desire.
Yeah.
And we are demonstrating our desire by following the principles, by following the regulative principles, by following the instructions of our acharyas. You see? So when we do that, that's our way of trying to convince Krishna that please accept me, please accept me. When we chant our rounds, that's what we are saying. Oh Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. So the Lord will reciprocate by his causeless mercy. So it's all a matter of his causeless mercy.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Krishna Prabhu, I can ask a question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if I can ask a question. I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Ajit Krishna Prabhu.
I'm not on. I'm on mute.
Yes, now we can.
Now you're not. Now we can hear. Prabhuji, so when you were saying the consciousness in the animals, what about the small insects like mosquitoes and all that? How do we handle those spiders?
Yeah. Same thing. You see, they all have consciousness. They all have life. And as much as possible, we try to throw, like a spider comes, you throw it out. Try not to kill it. Because we don't want to commit any violence on any living entity. But even if we don't want to, so many times when you're walking, you don't know what you've crushed. So that is why the safest path is we engage ourselves in devotional service. We perform the practices of devotional service, and then Krishna will take care of all of these things for us.
So because it's unavoidable, it's not intentional, it'll be like kind of taken care.
Right.
It's become like an offense or anything. Or a sin.
Right.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else? I think we are good.
Okay, bro. Yeah, then we'll stop here. So
Prabhu, just in this continuity, like those who are in ignorance, they say like we do not know Krishna. Suppose or we means they do not know that. So that here in the case of like what I was thinking of, like you give the example for the insect and all these all things when they are crossing out from our food whenever we are working. So we are incurring the sins, right? And those sins Krishna is taking care by what since we have surrendered. So all the sins are getting eradicated. So those who are not at all aware about Krishna, so are they incurring the sins?
right, they are, because they're not aware. You see, they are incurring. Everybody's incurring, but one who is aware realizes that that these are the things that are going on, and to nullify them, I must engage myself in devotional service. You see, even when you're breathing, you're taking in germs and things like that. Something is dying. What is happening? You don't know. So now we cannot change the way the nature functions, that is Krishna's creation, right? But we can change our consciousness. And then Krishna, so then, like this verse said, that when your intelligence, mind, shelter, refuge is fixed in Krishna, in the Lord's service, so then the Lord takes care. So that's the whole idea. The idea is to surrender. And especially during this, whole idea of how Mother Yashoda bound Krishna is an indication that the Lord agrees to become, or agrees to comply with the devotee's desire if the devotee is trying sincerely. That's what it is. Otherwise, there's nobody who can bind Krishna. See, he demonstrated the rope was going on falling short. They brought so many ropes and they're tying and tying and tying, but when it comes time to tie the knot, suddenly the rope would shrink or whatever would happen. I mean, the rope would still be short, and they all just started laughing. They just couldn't imagine what was going on. So Krishna demonstrated it's impossible for anybody to control him. But when he is willing to be controlled, then he will become Parthasarathi for Arjun. Then he'll break his promise also and pick up a chariot wheel and attack Bhishma Dev. You see, we will never be qualified. We'll never have the knowledge, or, we cannot check. There's no checklist that we can fulfill. It's by Krishna's mercy and just our desire, sincere desire. That's all.
Yeah. So those who are in ignorance, so like Krishna said, like Mataha Smriti Jnanam Apamam. So everything comes from me only. So knowledge, forgetfulness, and everything. So they are forgetful of Krishna. They are not aware. They are not doing any devotional service. They are not connected at all, and they are doing the sins. So the cycle will be keep going, or they have their prarabdha, anartha, and so, because of the sanchit karma, they are suffering. Or
cycle keeps going. So when in this verse, when Krishna says Mata Smriti Jnanam Pohanam Cha, he says, if somebody wants to forget me, if somebody says, oh, there's no God, Krishna says, okay, I'll give you this kind of intelligence that you will make very fantastic arguments that why there's no God. So the atheists come up with all these kind of arguments. Oh, there's no God because X, Y, Z. They give all these arguments. So Krishna says, if that's the kind of intelligence you want, okay, I'll give it to you. But understand that the result of that is not very good. Whereas if the intelligence that we develop is, whereas if our desire is to know Krishna, then Krishna gives us the right kind of intelligence, the right kind of resources, the association of devotees, bhakta, of books and sangha, so that our desire to know Krishna will bear fruit.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it helps. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji. I think.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful information.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I have some announcements to make. Is that okay for 2 minutes?
So today's.
Yeah. Today is actually very. You're breaking.
Yes.
Are you able to hear, Ajit Krishna Prabhu? Ajit Krishna?
Yes, I can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Your picture actually,
I can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah. So today is also Ekadashi, very auspicious day.
I can hear you, Prabhu.
And first day of Bhishma Panchak. There's another auspiciousness. And disappearance day of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. And it is our Nikunja Leela Mataji's birthday also. So let's chant loudly Hare Krishna once. Mahamantra for her devotional life and her family's devotional life also. Chant loudly Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama.
Rama, Hare
Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna conscious God.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Also, tomorrow, just a note that we have to break Ekadashi, and we have only 5 minutes tomorrow to break Ekadashi. It starts at 7:34 to 7:39 a.m. Just for the information purpose. Also, tomorrow, I think it's a daylight saving time. So the time might change. So be just aware of this. Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So, Prabhuji, those who are doing Bhishma Panchak, then how do we break the fast?
Ajit Krishna Prabhu can answer that.
That goes on for 5 days, Mataji.
Then we don't need to break the fast tomorrow, right?
Yeah, because in any case, your fast is continuing.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Because Ekadashi fast, they break with grains, but Bhishma Panchak, there's no grains.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Panchakalpatarubyasya kripa
Okay.
sindhubhyasya patitanam
Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo
Ananta Koti
Ananta Koti
Vaishnava
Vaishnava
Vrinda
Vrinda
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ajit Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Hari Hari Bol.
Jai.
Prabhu, just I'm trying to understand this
Yeah.
question, like the fast break. So like that Amrish Maharaj broke the fast, means that importance of the breaking the fast is also very important. It has to be broken. So is that Bhishma Panchak is overriding on Ekadasi or what? How to?
Yeah.
So is
That's
that
my understanding.
then Bhishma Panchak will be considered, or Ekadasi will be nullified, or how? Means if we do not break, then there will be
Yeah.
no consideration of Ekadasi, right?
Right. Then because when you're doing Bhishma Panchak, as it is, you're observing Ekadashi anyway, because you're not eating any grains.
So there is no Ekadasi, only Bhishma Panchak, right?
Bhishma Panchak is more severe than Ekadashi also.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
All right. Hare Krishna.